Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are strapping ourselves in for a really deep, thrilling journey right into the heart of Gothic horror. We are cracking open the pages of Bram Stoker's Dracula, that terrifying masterpiece published way back in 1897. It's a book that truly shaped our whole modern idea of fear.
Oh, absolutely. It is, without question, the foundational text, the ultimate horror story, isn't it? It sets the template for the truly undead.
Undead, creatures who are somehow both dead and, well, still living.
Exactly. And it tells the story of this courageous group of people who are basically forced to blend science, religion, and just sheer willpower to destroy this ancient evil menace.
And our mission today, if you choose to accept it, is basically to give you the ultimate shortcut. So you're really well informed about the core story, the characters, and the deep psychological stuff in the novel.
Yeah, we're not just skimming the plot here.
No, definitely not. We're following the key players, the tragedy as it unfolds, and we're doing it through the original sources, their journals, their letters, their, frankly, terrified diary entries.
And that format is so crucial, isn't it? The novel doesn't just tell you a story straight. It unfolds through what's called the epistolary structure.
Right, the letters and diaries.
Precisely. By giving us the story through these fragmented, personal, sometimes, really biased views, Jonathan Harker's journal, Dr. Seward's diary, Mina Murray's shorthand notes, telegrams, newspaper clippings, Stoker achieves a couple of really powerful effects.
Okay, what are those effects?
Well, first, it kind of mimics the style of legal medical documents from the time. And for a Victorian reader, someone obsessed with documentation and data, that massively boosted the perceived authenticity of the horror. Stoker's really blurring the line between fiction and, like, a case report.
Making it feel real.
Exactly. And second, it lets us track the psychological toll, the sheer horror of it all. We aren't watching some objective narrator. We're reading the terrified, immediate thoughts of people who are, slowly losing their grip on reality. It feels like you're sifting through evidence from a real investigation.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's unpack this, starting at the beginning. With the initial shock, our story kicks off far from, the gaslit comfort of London. We're in the wild, strange east of Europe with Jonathan Harker. He's a young solicitor just on a seemingly mundane business trip, finalizing a property sale.
Right. Seems normal enough. But that mission just rapidly spirals into this, well, existential nightmare.
So where exactly is he going?
He's traveling deep into Transylvania, right near the borders of 3 states, Transylvania itself, Moldavia, and Bukovina. This whole region, deep in the Carpathian Mountains, Stoker describes it as one of the wildest and least known parts of Europe. And crucially, Stoker calls this area the imaginative whirlpool. It's the place where every known superstition in the world is gathered. So right away, that signals Harker is moving out of the world of law books and into a realm of deep spiritual terror.
And the local atmosphere just screams dread, doesn't it? Harker notes the locals, the Seclese, claim they're descended from Attila and the Huns.
That's such a brilliant detail. It's not just scene setting. It hints that the Count has this ancient lineage steeped in violence, in conquest. He's not just some spooky old man in a castle. He's presented as almost a warlord figure from a bygone era.
Yeah, that adds a layer.
And the ominous signs start immediately, right in Chapter 1. Harker realizes he's traveling on the eve of St. George's Day. He notices the locals are absolutely terrified.
And this woman begs him not to go.
Yes, she implores him, saying that when the clock strikes midnight, all the evil things in the world will have full sway.
Chilling. And she gives him a crucifix or a rosary?
She does. And this is a critical moment for Harker, the proper English churchman. He actually admits he was taught to see such things as, in some measure, idolatrous, but he takes it anyway.
Why does he take it?
Well, he says it's for his mother's sake, but really, the sheer weight of the local terror just overrides his, Protestant skepticism. Everyone around him is making signs against the evil eye. Intellectually, he's resistant, but deep down, viscerally, he knows he needs something, some kind of protection in this spiritually hostile place.
Sets up that conflict. Faith versus something else.
Exactly. It frames the whole conflict immediately.
Yeah.
Ancient belief versus modern rational faith.
Okay, so the journey itself. Through the Borgo Pass, it sounds incredibly dramatic in the book.
Oh, it is. The coach ride is terrifying. It sways violently. Wolves are howling, getting closer and closer. And then this new driver appears.
The Count, presumably.
It's heavily implied, yes. He has this strange, compelling power. He calms the terrified horses with just an imperious command and seems to physically sweep the wolves away with his long, strong arms. It's our first real, albeit implied, glimpse of Dracula's power over the natural or perhaps unnatural world.
And then the arrival, Castle Dracula.
And the iconic introduction, Chapter 2. Harker arrives at this desolate, imposing castle door. The Count himself greets him, holding an antique silver lamp, and extends that famous, utterly chilling invitation. "Welcome to my house. Enter freely and of your own will."
That line, enter freely and of your own will, it becomes so important later, doesn't it? The whole vampire lore about needing an invitation.
Absolutely critical. It sets up one of the key limitations or rules of the vampire.
Let's talk about the Count's appearance. Stoker gives this incredibly detailed description, almost like a scientific observation, but of pure horror. His handshake, for instance.
Yes, Harker notes it's as cold as ice, more like the hand of a dead than a living man. A dead giveaway, you might say.
Huh, indeed.
But yeah, the description is amazing. He's presented almost like a statue at first, but with this terrible latent vitality. Stoker describes a strong, aquiline face, a lofty domed forehead, massive bushy eyebrows that almost meet over the nose.
The unibrow.
The unibrow, yes, and a fixed, cruel-looking mouth. His teeth are peculiarly sharp white teeth that protrude slightly over his very red lips. Harker notes this shows an astonishing vitality, which seems completely wrong for his apparent age.
And the hands. That detail always gets me.
All the hands are key.
Yeah.
Pale, coarse, with squat fingers, long, sharp nails filed to a point, and most disturbingly, as you said, hairs in the center of the palm.
Yeah.
It's such a small, visceral detail, but it instantly makes the Count seem not just monstrous, but fundamentally unclean, primitive. You just shudder thinking about him touching Harker.
So Harker, the meticulous solicitor, starts keeping his journal, and he quickly realizes something's wrong.
Very quickly. He's essentially compiling evidence. He notes Dracula never eats with him, never smokes, and he's constantly grilling Harker about the details of London property law, specifically about the house he's just purchased.
Carfax. Near Purfleet, right, close to London.
Yes, and crucially, close to where Dr. Seward runs his asylum in Kew. Dracula isn't choosing randomly. He needs a secure base near the metropolis, a source of life, and also near a place of, let's say, societal disorder, the asylum. Carfax itself is described as ancient, isolated, legally abandoned, perfect for shipping in those 50 boxes of earth.
Those boxes. We'll come back to them. But Harker confirms Dracula's unnatural state pretty definitively, doesn't he, in Chapter 3?
Ah, yes, the famous mirror test. Harker shaving, using his own little travel mirror, when Dracula suddenly appears behind him, startling him, and Harker realizes. Dracula casts no reflection.
Not at all.
None. And then Harker cuts himself shading, just a nick. But the sight of the blood sends Dracula into this demoniac fury. He grabs at Harker's throat. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is the first real test of those spiritual defenses Harker was given. Dracula is only repelled, stopped in his tracks, when his hand accidentally touches the crucifix beads Harker is wearing around his neck. Wow. So the crucifix works. It works. It's a tangible defense against this creature.
And the discoveries just keep getting more horrifying. Harker sees the Count's physical abilities, too.
Yes, in Chapter 4, he witnesses Dracula leaving the castle. Not by the stairs, not by the door. He sees him climbing down the sheer castle wall, head first, just as a lizard moves along a wall. Harker calls it his lizard fashion.
Lizard fashion.
Yeah.
That image is just, it completely shatters any remaining sense of normalcy for Harker, doesn't it?
Utterly. It shows Dracula isn't just an old man. He's something else entirely. Something inhuman.
And then things take an even darker turn when Harker tries to explore the castle.
Right. He finds this sort of secluded, opulent room, feels strangely drowsy, and falls asleep. And that's when he's confronted by the three brides, the female vampires.
The brides. Stoker is quite explicit about the sexual nature of their threat, isn't he? Their desire to kiss him.
Oh, very much so. It's a clear euphemism for feeding, but it's framed as this terrifying, seductive violation. It's a direct assault on Harker's fidelity to Mina, who's waiting for him back in England. It's deeply unsettling. Two are dark with aquiline features, like the Count. One is fair with golden hair. And they throw no shadow, have no reflection.
And Dracula intervenes.
He does. In a really chilling moment, he proclaims that even he can love, asserting his ownership over Harker. He then promises Harker to them, but only later. Yes, I too can love. You yourselves can tell it from the past. Is it not so? Well, now I promise you that when I am done with him, you shall kiss him at your will.
Just horrifying. Harker is just a resource, a meal to be saved for later.
Exactly. It shows the Count's completely transactional, predatory nature. Harker's a tool, nothing more.
So Harker's situation becomes completely desperate.
Utterly desperate. His final actions really underscore his breakdown. He tries to send secret letters home, giving them to the Sgani, these local gypsies. Stoker describes as being outside all law and completely loyal to the Count.
Dead idea.
Terrible idea. Dracula finds the letters, including the one to Mina written in shorthand, which he can't read but suspects. He burns it, accusing Harker, with incredible irony, of an outrage upon friendship and hospitality. Right. And Harker watches helplessly as these large, square wooden boxes, 50 of them in total, marked for London, are delivered by Slovaks and loaded onto carts by the Sgani. His journal entries become frantic, almost incoherent.
And he's finally left alone.
Yes. After Dracula departs for England, Harker is left alone in the castle with the three women. He hears their low, sweet ripple of laughter echoing. It's the sound of his doom. His last journal entry states his resolve. He's going to try and scale the castle wall, just like the Count did, and escape, or die trying. Wow. Those first 4 chapters are just a masterclass in Gothic horror. The isolation, the psychological breakdown, the rational mind confronting ancient, undeniable evil.
Perfectly sets the stage for the horror to come to England.
Yeah.
So yeah, we leave Harker in this absolute state of terror, and then the narrative jumps. Abruptly, we're suddenly back in the comparative safety and, sanity of Victorian England, specifically Whitby.
That contrast is really effective, isn't it? Between the ancient superstitious East and the modern rational West. It cranks up the tension.
Definitely. And here we meet the core group of English characters, centered around Mina Murray and Lucy Westenra.
Right. Let's talk about Mina first. She's Jonathan Harker's fiancée, soon to be Mina Harker. How is she portrayed?
Mina is presented as, well, almost the ideal Victorian woman in many ways, but with modern capabilities. She's highly intelligent, very organized, pragmatic. She keeps a detailed diary in shorthand, which becomes incredibly important later. And she's deeply devoted to her friend, Lucy. Her skills organization typing shorthand are actually what enable the men to fight back later. Interesting. And her friend, Lucy Westenra.
Lucy is different. She's the beautiful, vibrant, perhaps slightly frivolous debutante, highly sought after. She kind of embodies the idealized purity and femininity of the era, the very thing Dracula is coming to corrupt.
And she gets 3 marriage proposals in one day. That's quite something.
It is. And it's Stoker's clever way of introducing the 3 men who will become the core of the vampire hunting team. Each represents a different kind of societal strength.
Okay, so who are they?
First, there's Dr. John Seward. He's one of the rejected suitors. He's a man of science, runs this large asylum out of Kew. And crucially, his asylum is located quite near Carfax, Dracula's new London base.
Proximity, okay.
Then you have Quincy P. Morris, another rejected suitor. He's the American in the group described as great-hearted, wealthy, adventurous, good with knives and guns. He brings that sort of New World pragmatism in action.
And the third, the successful one.
That's the Honorable Arthur Holmwood. He's the one Lucy accepts. He later becomes Lord Godalming when his father dies. He represents English nobility, tradition, steadfastness, and emotional commitment. It's a really well-rounded group of archetypes poised to unite against the threat.
So while all this courtship drama is unfolding, we get another really fascinating subplot introduced through Dr. Seward's diary. His patient, R.M. Renfield.
Ah, yes, Renfield, the zoophagous maniac. We really need to linger here, like you said, because Renfield is so much more than just a random madman. He's a crucial thematic mirror to Dracula himself.
Explain that. What does zoophagous actually mean? And how does his specific type of madness connect to the Count?
Zoophagous literally means life-eating. Renfield Seward notes his age, ATAT. 59 exhibits this very specific, very deliberate, almost scientific form of madness. It's based entirely on absorbing life force from other creatures.
How does he do that?
He starts small. He collects flies. Then he uses the flies to feed spiders. Then he feeds the spiders to birds he catches. His goal is to keep accumulating lives, absorbing them into himself. He talks about wanting a cat next, to eat the birds. It's a food chain of consumption.
Right, building up the life force.
Exactly. He argues with Seward about it, claiming his centripetal force, his self, is the fixed point, drawing life inwards. He desires to absorb as many lives as he possibly can.
So his madness is basically this warped attempt at achieving immortality, or at least sustained life, by consuming others, which is precisely what the vampire does, isn't it?
Precisely. Renfield's obsession with consuming life directly mirrors the vampire's fundamental need. He's like this failed human experiment in becoming undead, driven by the same core desire for continued existence and power. He senses Dracula's arrival, calls him master.
Wow, that's a chilling parallel. Okay, so while Renfield is eating flies, the actual threat arrives.
Yes. We get this newspaper cutting inserted into the narrative. It details a terrifying unnatural storm hitting Whitby. This is in Chapter 7. And it dramatically ramps up the tension. A schooner called the Demeter sails right into the harbor at breakneck speed.
Under full sail.
Under full sail, yes.
Huh.
Unsteered, the report says. Saved by the hand of a dead man.
Just incredible imagery. What happened on board?
The horror is revealed through the ship's log, which is found on board. The captain's corpse is discovered lashed to the helm with a crucifix and rosary beads clutched in his hand. The log details this horrific voyage from Varna on the Black Sea.
What does it say?
It describes the crew disappearing, one by one, just vanishing. Overwhelming terror gripping those who remained. The first mate apparently went mad, tried to stab at whatever the presence was, but his knife just went through empty as the air. Then he jumped overboard.
So it was Dracula.
Unmistakably. The Demeter log is such a brilliant piece of storytelling. It transforms the vampire from this distant Transylvanian superstition into a physical, horrifying force that can cross oceans, cross borders. It's invasion.
And the cargo.
The cargo confirms it. The ship's manifest lists 50 great square boxes, invoiced simply as clay.
The earth boxes.
The earth boxes. Dracula's native soil. The link back to Harker's terror in Transylvania is explicit. He's arrived. His foothold is established in England.
And almost immediately after the Demeter arrives, Lucy's health starts to fail. Mysteriously.
Yes, the timing is direct. She starts sleepwalking again, which was apparently an old childhood habit. She walks out towards the East Cliff in Whitby, near the churchyard where there's the grave of this local skeptic named George Swales.
And Swales is later found dead there.
Found dead, yes. Broken neck, look of absolute horror on his face. The implication is clear. The ancient evil is already disrupting the rational modern world, silencing skeptics first.
Mina finds Lucy out there one night, doesn't she?
She does, on their favorite bench overlooking the harbor. And Mina sees, or thinks she sees, this tall, dark figure bending over Lucy. After that, Lucy starts suffering from this heavy, lethargic sleep, always gasping as if for air. Stoker really details the sense of violation, of life being drained away.
And the physical signs appear.
Yes. Mina notices these two tiny, peculiar wounds on Lucy's throat. Like little white dots with red centers, she describes them. And crucially, they fail to heal. They seem to be getting slightly larger over time.
And Lucy starts murmuring things.
Fragmented, terrifying things in her sleep, or half-sleep. Things like, his red eyes again, they're just the same. The subtext is really strong here. Dracula's attack on Lucy is portrayed as this deeply violating, almost sexualized assault on Victorian purity. It's a slow, dreadful consumption of her vitality, her innocence.
And this horror doesn't stay private, does it? It starts to leak out.
No, it becomes public, in a distorted way. There are reports in the papers about children in Hampstead, near where Lucy lives in London, being found with similar small wounds on their throats. They talk about being lured away by a bloofer lady.
Bloofer lady?
Yeah, it's assumed to be a child's mispronunciation of beautiful lady. The authorities, of course, are baffled. They suspect a bat, maybe a dog. The rational world is completely misinterpreting the signs, unable or unwilling to see the supernatural truth. The undead Lucy is already walking.
Chilling. Absolutely chilling. ##3. The expert arrives and the nature of the Nosferatu. Okay, so Lucy is fading fast. The local doctors are baffled. And Dr. Seward, the man of science, the asylum director, he realizes he's completely out of his depth, doesn't he?
He does. He knows this isn't any illness he recognizes. And this is the moment he makes the crucial decision to call for help. He sends a telegram to his old teacher, his mentor, the great academic, doctor, philosopher from Amsterdam, Professor Abraham Van Helsing.
Enter Van Helsing, the expert.
The expert arrives. And Van Helsing is absolutely pivotal. He's this fascinating blend of scientist, philosopher, and crucially, someone open to ancient folklore and metaphysics. He's the bridge between the modern world and the ancient knowledge needed to fight Dracula.
And he recognizes the danger immediately.
Instantly. He examines Lucy, sees the symptoms, the pallor, the wounds, the lethargy, and his reaction is one of urgency, almost desperation. He immediately orders an urgent blood transfusion, declares flat out she will die for sheer want of blood to keep the heart's action as it should be.
A blood transfusion, that was pretty cutting-edge, risky stuff back then, wasn't it?
Very much so. And the details Stoker includes about the repeated transfusions is incredibly powerful symbolically. It's not just one, it's performed multiple times.
And different men give blood each time.
Yes. 4 men in total give their lifeblood to try and save Lucy,
Mhm.
Arthur Holmwood, her fiancé, Dr. Seward himself, Quincy Morris, the American, and finally, Van Helsing steps in when Arthur is too weakened.
Wow. What's the significance of that?
Well, on one level, it symbolically binds the group together. They're literally sharing their life force in a desperate, combined effort to protect Lucy from this draining force. It highlights the use of modern science, this risky new procedure against an ancient, spiritually polluting enemy. But it also carries this huge emotional, almost spiritual weight. They're united by blood.
But even their combined strengths, their shared blood and modern medicine, it's not enough, is it? Because the protection fails.
Tragically, no. Van Helsing understands this isn't just a medical problem. He tries to institute defenses based on ancient lore, using what he calls sacred things. He seals the windows, rubs garlic, potent, smelly garlic all over the window sashes and the door jambs, and he hangs a wreath of garlic flowers around Lucy's nest.
Garlic, the classic vampire repellent.
The classic. Van Helsing explains these things, these sacred things, afflict the enemy, create a barrier. But then at chapter 12, Stoker delivers this absolutely devastating blow. Human error undermines the supernatural defense.
What happens?
Lucy's mother. She's frail, anxious about her daughter. She comes into the room at night, smells the overpowering garlic, thinks it's stuffy and unhealthy, and decides Lucy needs fresh air.
Oh, no!
Yes. So, with the best intentions, meaning only to care for her daughter, she removes the protective garlic wreath from Lucy's neck and opens the window.
And that's the invitation, isn't it? Or at least the removal of the barrier.
Exactly. The protection is gone. Disaster strikes almost immediately. A great gaunt gray wolf, later identified as an escaped asylum wolf named Berserker, but heavily implied to be Dracula in wolf form, smashes through the window pane,
Terrifying the mother.
terrifying Mrs. Westenra literally to death. She has a weak heart, and the shot kills her instantly. And in the chaos, Lucy, unprotected, is attacked again. Her throat wounds are found later, horribly white and mangled. The ancient evil just exploited that single moment of vulnerability, that single act of misguided modern care.
So Lucy dies, despite everything.
She dies. But Van Helsing knows it's not the end. He now has the incredibly difficult task of convincing the rational Dr. Seward of the unbelievable truth. He starts to explain the nature of the undead, the Nosferatu. He pleads with Seward to keep an open mind, to temporarily suspend his scientific skepticism and accept the existence of things unknown to philosophy.
And he lays out what they're dealing with. Dracula's powers.
He does. He synthesizes everything he knows from ancient lore and observation. And the picture he paints is terrifying. It defines the scale of the threat they face. He tells Seward the vampire has the strength of 20 men.
20 men.
And a cunning that is more than mortal, because, as he puts it, his cunning be the growth of ages. This isn't just brute force, it's ancient accumulated intelligence.
What else can you do?
He's a master of the elements. To a degree, he can direct the storm, the fog, the thunder. He commands the meaner things of the world, the rat, the owl, the bat, the moth, the fox, the wolf. These creatures become his eyes, his ears, his agents.
Then shapeshifting.
Yes. He can transform himself into a wolf, like the one that attacked Lucy, into a bat, or even into elemental dust or mist, allowing him to slip through cracks under doors. Though Van Helsing notes this transformation is usually limited in range, often tied to his location, his Earthbox lair.
And the spiritual markers.
The key ones Harker observed. He throws no shadow, and he gives no reflection in a mirror.
That lack of reflection is so unsettling. What does it signify, do you think?
It's powerful, isn't it? It suggests more than just a spiritual lack. It's like he doesn't fully register in the physical world. Like a piece of reality itself is missing where he stands. He's fundamentally unnatural.
But he's not all-powerful. Van Helsing also talks about his limitations, right? And these are crucial for the hunter.
It's absolutely crucial. It's the limitations, the rules he must obey that give the hunters any chance at all. They define the battlefield.
Okay, let's break down those key limits. What can't he do?
Okay, first, the big one, the entry requirement. He cannot enter a home or a room unless he is first invited in by someone who belongs there.
Like Harker's invitation, enter freely.
Exactly. It's this powerful spiritual metaphor, really. Corruption needs consent, even if it's tricked or coerced. Someone has to open the door, literally or figuratively.
What else?
Second, his power ceases entirely with the coming of the day. Daylight is lethal, or at least completely neutralizing. He is purely a creature of the night, of darkness and sin.
Okay, invitation, daylight. What about location?
Ah, yes, environmental restrictions.
Yeah.
If he's not in his earth home, one of those coffins filled with his native Transylvanian soil, his powers are restricted. He can only change his form at specific moments, noon, sunrise, or sunset, the moments of transition.
Interesting. And running water. I remember that being a thing.
Yes, another major limitation. He cannot cross running water, a river, or a stream, unless it's at the slack or the flood of the tide.
Wait, running water.
It's often interpreted as symbolizing purity, movement, life, all things antithetical to the undead state. It acts as a real physical barrier that slows the ancient monster down, forces him to rely on human agents, like the Sugani, to transport his coffins.
Makes sense. And the religious items.
The classic defenses work. He cannot tolerate garlic. The crucifix, the symbol of Christ's sacrifice, repels him. And most powerfully, the sacred wafer, the host from communion, is anathema to him. These sacred things, as Van Helsing calls them, are tangible, physical weapons against spiritual corruption.
So, armed with this knowledge, they realize what's happened to Lucy, don't they, after her death?
Yes, the reports of the Bloofer lady attacking children in Hampstead continue. Van Helsing knows this means Lucy has become undead herself. She's left her tomb and is now preying on the innocent, transforming from victim to predator.
So they have to stop her.
They have to destroy the undead creature she has become in order to save her soul. Seward and Van Helsing gather proof, witnessing the empty tomb, seeing the undead Lucy returning at dawn, looking more radiantly beautiful than ever, but with a voluptuous cruelty in her eyes.
And this leads to that horrific scene in the tomb, chapter 6-6.
Horrific, yet absolutely necessary according to the novel's logic. Arthur Holmwood, Lord Godalming now, the man who loved Lucy most, is forced to perform the terrible act. Van Helsing insists Arthur must be the one to do it, to free her soul.
He has to drive a stake through her heart.
Yes, a wooden stake, specifically prepared, hardened by charring, sharpened to a point. Arthur has to drive it through the heart of the undead Lucy inside her tomb.
Stoker doesn't shy away from the horror of that, does he?
Not at all. The description is graphic, visceral. The body writhes, the blood spurts, the sounds are terrible. But the moment the stake finds its mark, the effect is instantaneous. The monstrous features relax, and Lucy's body is restored to a state of death beauty. Pure, peaceful, stainless.
The curse has passed away?
Exactly. Van Helsing declares the curse is lifted. It underscores the novel's central, brutal logic. Destroying the physical vampire body is the only way to grant spiritual salvation, eternal peace to the victim's soul. It's a terrible necessity.
A brutal but necessary act to set the stage for hunting the source.
Precisely. Now they know the rules, they've seen the cost, and they can turn their full attention to Dracula himself. #4. The hunt begins, and Mina's sacrifice. Right. So with Lucy finally truly at peace, the man Seward, Arthur, Quincy Van Helsing are united. They're bound by this shared trauma, this shared mission, even the shared blood they gave Lucy. And they know they have to hunt down the source, Dracula.
And this is where Mina Harker comes fully into the picture, isn't it? She and Jonathan are married now. He's somewhat recovered from his ordeal in Transylvania, though still scarred.
Yes, Mina is brought into the inner circle.
Yeah.
And she immediately becomes absolutely vital. She's not just a passive supporter, she's the intellectual engine of the team.
How so?
Her skills are key. She takes Jonathan's fragmented, terrified journal, Dr. Seward's meticulous asylum diary, her own notes, the letters, the newspaper clippings, all these disparate sources, and she organizes them. She types them up, uses her shorthand. She creates a coherent timeline, a dossier of evidence. It's her work that allows them to synthesize the threat, understand the patterns, and plan their strategy.
So the epistolary structure becomes a tool for the characters themselves.
Exactly. The fragmented narrative becomes their weapon. Their goal is clear now. Find all 50 of Dracula's earth boxes and sterilize them. Remove his sanctuaries.
When they start having some success tracking the boxes?
They do. They know the 50 boxes initially arrived at Carfax. But through investigation, Jonathan Harker manages to trace 9 of them to another location, a large empty house in Piccadilly, right in the heart of London.
How did they get there?
They track down the delivery men, the carriers, and they get this chilling testimony. The man describes how the boxes were moved not by a team, but by one solitary old feller with a white mustache and a tall hat. This old man lifted these huge, heavy boxes filled with earth all by himself, showing immense, unnatural strength, even while operating right under the nose of modern London.
Dracula hiding in plain sight.
Precisely, moving his lairs around the city.
Meanwhile, back at the asylum, things are escalating with Renfield.
Yes, the pressure is building there too. And it leads to Renfield's final fatal moment of, well, insight or perhaps rebellion. He seems to understand that Dracula is targeting Mina.
He tries to warn them.
In a terrifying burst of lucidity, yes, he pleads with Seward and Van Helsing, calling Dracula his lord and master, but begging them to send Mina away, saying he's not safe, she's not safe. He recognizes the Count as the ultimate embodiment of that life-consuming philosophy he himself failed to achieve, but he seems to have a flicker of conscience about Mina.
But he tries to stop Dracula.
He does. Later that night, sensing Dracula's approach to the asylum, Renfield actually tries to block his path, trying to uphold that rule about invitation, perhaps. He confronts the Count.
And that doesn't end well.
It ends terribly. Dracula, enraged, attacks him savagely. Seward finds Renfield later, horribly injured, his back broken, face smashed, lying in a pool of blood. His life, the life he tried so desperately to hoard by eating flies and spiders, is violently extinguished by the master he briefly served and then defied.
But Renfield's death isn't the main horror of that night, is it? It's immediately followed by Mina's ordeal, the central crisis of the final part of the book, chapter 21.
Yes. Renfield's attack was almost a prelude. Dracula, having gained access perhaps through Renfield's earlier submission, enters Mina and Jonathan's room within the asylum grounds. He seems to appear out of a mist he creates himself.
And Jonathan, can he protect her?
No. Stoker describes Jonathan as being rendered completely passive, held in a sort of sleep-like trance, paralyzed, unable to move or speak while Dracula confronts Mina. It's terrifyingly effective.
And Dracula attacks Mina.
He does. But it's not just feeding, it's something far worse. He forces her into this unholy parody of communion, a dreadful reversal of the blood transfusions that failed to save Lucy. He bites her, yes, but then he cuts his own chest with his sharp nail.
Oh, God.
And forces her lips to the wound, making her drink his blood. He binds her to him, creating this psychic link.
Polluting her soul.
Exactly. That's how Mina sees it. She later cries out in anguish, "Unclean! Unclean! I must touch him or kiss him no more." The act taints her very being, and the consequences are immediate and visible.
The mark on her forehead.
Yes. Later, Van Helsing tries to protect her forehead with a piece of the sacred wafer, the consecrated host. But instead of protecting, it burns her skin, leaving this vivid red scar. It's a visible brand, a mark of shame and pollution, signifying she's spiritually compromised, linked to the vampire. For a Victorian woman like Mina, that visible mark of impurity is arguably a horror deeper than death itself.
But Van Helsing, he turns this horror into a weapon, doesn't he?
He does. It's a brilliant tactical move, born of desperation. He realizes that the psychic connection forced upon Mina by Dracula's blood, while horrific, can be used. He puts Mina under hypnosis, particularly at sunrise and sunset, the times when Dracula's powers are in flux.
And she can sense him.
Yes. Under hypnosis, she can vaguely sense Dracula's thoughts, his location, his surroundings, her trauma, her pollution, becomes the team's greatest intelligence asset, their tracking device.
So they use this connection to hunt him down.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It allows them to act decisively, combining Van Helsing's knowledge, Seward's analysis, Arthur's resources, Quincy's action, Jonathan's knowledge of the logistics, and Mina's psychic link. It's this incredible blend of science, faith, and forced supernatural connection.
And they go after the remaining Earth boxes.
Yes. In Chapter 22, they achieve a major victory. Acting on intelligence, possibly gleaned from Mina or their investigations, they locate and manage to sterilize 49 of the 50 Earth boxes scattered around London.
How do they sterilize them?
With the most potent weapon they have, religion. They place a fragment of the sacred wafer inside each box. This simple act renders the native Earth unhallowed, polluted from Dracula's perspective, making it unusable as a daytime refuge for him.
Takes away his safe houses.
Exactly. It brilliantly exposes them, corners him. Dracula, now facing the prospect of being caught by daylight with almost nowhere safe to rest, is forced to make a run for it. He flees London immediately.
With the last box.
With the last remaining Earth box, and apparently some stolen money and deeds. Mina's hypnosis tracks his escape route. They learn he's boarded a ship, the Tsarina Catherine, sailing from the Thames, bound for Varna on the Black Sea coast, back towards Transylvania.
So the final chase begins, back to where it all started.
The race to the castle is on. The team knows they have to intercept that final 50th box, ideally while Dracula is confined and helpless within it during daylight hours. It requires this incredible convergence of timing, logistics, strategy, and sheer luck.
But Dracula is cunning, right? Van Helsing said his cunning has the growth of ages.
And he proves it again. Just as the hunters are closing in, planning to intercept the ship at Varna, Mina's hypnosis delivers bad news. The Tsarina Catherine has changed course. It's not going to Varna. It's docking further up the coast, at Galatz,
He anticipated them.
or just took precautions. They learned the last box was quickly offloaded before sunrise by a Slovak shipping agent named Petrov Skinsky,
And Skinks.
found dead soon after,
Yeah.
throat torn out. Dracula covering his tracks, ensuring secrecy for his final overland dash to the castle.
So the hunters have to readjust.
They have to split up, adapt quickly. It shows their commitment and intelligence. Lord Golding, Arthur, and Dr. Seward charter a steam launch to race upriver, checking the Sirith and Pruth rivers, hoping to intercept the box if it's traveling by water.
And the others?
Van Helsing, Mina, and Jonathan Harker take the overland route. Horses, straight towards the Borgo Pass, heading for the heart of Dracula's domain, hoping to cut him off before he reaches the safety of Castle Dracula.
Back into the lion's den.
Literally. And their journey through the snow-covered pass is incredibly perilous. It directly echoes Harker's first terrifying journey. They are pursued,
Bye.
the three brides. The female vampires materialize out of the snow and mist, drawn perhaps to Mina or seeking to reclaim Harker. Van Helsing has to use all his knowledge to protect Mina and himself. He uses his crucifix, but more powerfully, he creates a holy circle in the snow around Mina, using crumbled pieces of the sacred wafer.
And it works.
It works. The brides cannot cross the circle. They recoil from it, wailing in frustration. The rising sun eventually drives them away, but the danger was absolute. It reinforces the power of the sacred objects.
Which brings us to the climax, chapter 27, the final race.
It's unbelievably tense.
Yeah.
A frantic chase against the setting sun. The hunters finally converge just as the Saguenay, the gypsies, loyal to Dracula, are furiously whipping their horses, racing a large cart towards the castle. On the cart is the final box.
And the sun is setting.
The sun is setting fast. If it disappears below the horizon before they can stop him, Dracula will emerge in his full power right at the threshold of his castle if failed.
Who gets there first?
All four of the male pursuers, Harker and Quincy arriving overland, Godalming and Seward having likely abandoned their launch and raced ahead, converge on the cart in the final moments. It's desperate. Jonathan Harker, fueled by his love for Mina, his memory of captivity, finds this incredible surge of strength.
He attacks the box.
He leaps onto the cart, attacking the box. It's this amazing dual assault, symbolizing perhaps the blend of cultures and methods they've used all along. Jonathan uses his huge kukri knife, this curved blade from Nepal, something perhaps learned about during his work for the Count's move to the modern world.
In Quincy.
Quincy Morris uses his trusty Bowie knife, the symbol of the American frontier spirit. They strike simultaneously at the lid of the box, just as the very last sliver of the sun dips below the horizon.
Do they make it?
Just. Precisely on time. As their knives slash into the box, perhaps wounding the Count inside, the effect of the dying sunlight combined with the physical assault is instantaneous. Dracula's body, caught in that liminal moment, doesn't bleed or fight back. It simply crumbles
Crumbles.
into a heap of dust. Just like that. The centuries of evil, the cunning, the power, gone in an instant. The moment of destruction is shockingly brief, total, and feels spiritually cleansing.
But there's a cost. Always a cost.
Always a cost. During the frantic fight with the gypsies defending the cart, Quincy Morris is fatally stabbed. He's wounded mortally.
He died.
He dies. But Stoker gives him this poignant, peaceful death. He lives just long enough to see Dracula destroyed and, crucially, to see Mina's forehead.
The mark.
The mark is gone. Vanished. Her forehead is stainless. The curse is lifted. Quincy dies happy, knowing their mission saving Mina's soul, destroying the ancient evil is accomplished. His sacrifice seals their victory.
Wow. What an ending. Sacrifice, teamwork, and the final destruction of evil. Yes, tag, outro.
It really is an incredible climax. And when you look back at the source material, the whole book, it's just this profound study in, well, unity, isn't it? It shows how the combined tools of the modern world, the intellect, the science, the record-keeping, but also faith and spiritual tools, managed to defeat this incredibly ancient foe rooted in superstition and, well, necromancy.
Yeah, it's amazing how everything had to come together. The meticulous diaries Mina compiled, Van Helsing's knowledge, Seward's analysis, Arthur's resources, Quincy's bravery, Jonathan's resilience, and Mina's psychic connection. They all had to align perfectly.
And they were so reliant on those specific details of vampire lore Van Helsing uncovered. The garlic, the fact he couldn't cross running water easily, the lack of reflection, the absolute necessity of the sacred wafer from the crucifix. Every little piece of ancient belief turned out to be crucial.
It's like Stoker is making the argument that modern people of science and reason, absolutely have to embrace or at least acknowledge ancient belief systems and spiritual weapons to fight truly ancient spiritual evil. You can't just rely on logic.
That seemed to be a core message. But the novel also leaves us with this really chilling final thought, doesn't it? About the Count's potential, if they hadn't stopped him.
What do you mean?
Well, Van Helsing reflects on it. He observes that Dracula wasn't just some static monster. He was intellectually growing through his exposure to England, to the new land and a new people. He was learning, adapting. Remember, his cunning had the growth of ages.
So he wasn't just repeating old patterns.
No. The implication is that this ancient, incredibly powerful being who already commanded dark magic and the elements was actively experimenting, evolving his methods within London. He wasn't just there to feed, he was learning how to infiltrate, manipulate, and exploit modern society, modern technology, modern psychology, perhaps.
That's a scary thought.
It is. Because Van Helsing suggests that had the hunters failed on that pass, Dracula might have become the father or furtherer of a new order of beings, beings whose path leads through death, not life.
A new order
Yeah.
based on vampirism.
Or something evolved from it. It forces you, the reader, to really consider the potential evolution of monstrosity. If Dracula, with his ancient power and growing understanding of the modern world, hadn't been stopped right then, right there,
Yeah.
what new forms of evil, what new kinds of social or even technological corruption, what new attacks against the human soul might he have perfected and unleashed?
An utterly chilling note to end on. The ultimate survival and potential evolution of evil in our world. Thank you for taking this incredible deep dive with us into Bram Stoker's Dracula.